Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on GovTV for your City Manager's Report, your source for all the most current and local things happening right here in the city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of some of the highlights of what's to come at the upcoming Common Council meeting. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Roloff. So Mark, welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. We're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of today's show. We're going to take a little break and then we'll return with a review of those highlights from the agenda for the Common Council meeting coming up on Tuesday, August 27th, 2019. So Mark, first item on our hot topics list here that we've got is applications are open for a new ad hoc committee that Council's putting together, and that is to look at some special assessment alternatives. We're in the wake of the tough and all the different conversations that have been happening around that, and this is the next step in the process. Yeah,
the Council got some feedback that they would like a broader view of different perspectives from stakeholders involved in it. The Long Range Finance Committee was very involved and represents a good cross-section, but there was some belief that more business community members, more institutional members need to be involved. We can certainly do that. So the council just approved the formation of this ad hoc committee, so we've started recruitment, but it's really to provide the council with recommendations to provide relief to property owners who are subject to special assessments and review funding alternatives to special assessments, and then provide some recommendations to council. It's a very limited time. It's a 90-day window they're really looking at, so they plan to appoint representatives to this committee around September 10th, and then pretty much just before Christmas be able to get that all done. So you should see on the screen, the city's accepting applications right now. You do have to sign up just like any board or commission. Yep. So just grab it on our website and get the applications in by August 30th. You can also drop by the city manager's office and just fill out an application if that works for you as well.
Definitely, yes. So the commitment, like you said, is ending around December. So it's not a long time commitment, and we want to get those applications in as soon as possible. So August 30th at noon. All the information is on the city website, like Mark said, so you can find the applications on there, and we encourage anyone who's interested to go ahead and submit. And they're looking for a wide variety of people as well, right?
Absolutely. In fact, the council even permitted up to 25% of this committee could be non-residents, because a lot of businesses, the representative of the business may not live in the community, but at the same time recognizing we still need a good cross-section of people who are from within the city, including homeowners. So even if you're just a regular homeowner without any other property, you are certainly part of the process for special assessments, and we want to hear from you as well.
Excellent. So looking forward to that, and we should have an update actually by the next episode of City Manager's Report on how this is all going. Moving down our list, Mark, we've got some water utility updates, I guess you could say. Now, there's been a lot going on in the water utility this year, and we've gotten some feedback from our residents. And one of those, the first one that we're going to discuss here is a lot of people have been getting delinquent notices and not knowing why. Like, why am I getting a late notice? I never even got my water bill. Yeah,
we started monthly billing, and I think it's taken some adjustments. And the first one we kind of own. And the way we looked at it, there were some people who got delinquent notices and they were saying I never got my bill. Well, actually, we sent out something with the water bill, which was an example of what they look like and what it all means.
How to read them.
How to read it, exactly.
Yeah.
What we did them back to back with one another, and people saw the sample and thought that it was just a sample, and then threw it away. The water bill was actually on the back side. So,
and on white paper, too.
And all on white paper,
yeah.
And so it kind of got dismissed. So that created some confusion. So people inadvertently threw it away. And That's just human nature, and it's understandable, but it created a delinquent bill. So we absolutely own that one. Certainly apologize to everybody who was inconvenienced. Our folks were inundated with people, and I'm sure they've never had a delinquent bill in their life, and all of a sudden they are feeling bad, and they're like, wait a minute, I pay my bill on time. I'm very proud of it.
Exactly.
And it was just one of those things. So we certainly apologize for that.
Yeah, so give the Water Utility Accounting Division a call too if you think that this might have happened to you, and we're willing to work with you here. But it's a good reminder too that the new monthly bills are printed on white paper. The old quarterly bills were printed, I believe, on blue paper. So just another reminder to be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, but I would also encourage people, here's an opportunity. If you want to get yourself on the electronic billing, you have the ability to do that, so that we'll send you the notice through an email that you're aware of it. We've gotten a lot of good responses from people who have started to sign up for that. And of course, you can do the automatic withdrawal. So even if you ignore the notice, you'll still get the bill and still get it deducted from your account. So I would encourage people to look at all those different options. A lot of high-tech stuff nowadays that are available to make it easier for you to pay your bill.
Definitely. And then the other thing that we wanted to talk about related to the water utility is some conversations and some things happening on social media. People are talking about high bills. Now, this could be a couple different reasons that we're seeing high bills. And the first one that we want to talk about is the potential for leaks.
This happens a lot more than people realize. And I think now that the bills are monthly, people are paying attention to it because it's a relatively new bill, but at the same time, it's brought out an issue that is unfortunately all too common, and that's leaks. And I think some people think of leaks and they think of water all over their house and everything. Well, I don't have a water leak, but I've been a victim of this too, so I know from whence I speak. There are unknown, undetectable leakages that happen in your toilet tank, where the toilet leaks from your tank into your bowl. You may never notice it.
It just goes right down the drain.
It goes right down the drain. Now, sometimes you can hear it a little bit. Other times you can't. Sometimes it's very aware of it, and people just say, oh, the toilet just ran a little bit. It's likely been running the whole time. When it happened to me, it was over $100. So it's not something to ignore. So we offer free inspections. Give our Water Distribution Division a call, and they can certainly, they'll come and do an inspection for you. We're absolutely happy to do that. Additionally, we can give you some hints on things you can do yourself to detect it. Usually it involves as simple as putting a little food coloring in the toilet tank, and if it comes out through the bowl, you've got a leak problem. And it's undetectable. But that way you don't have to listen for it. You can visually see it. So we encourage people, call the Water Distribution Division, and they're happy to help you.
Yes, they're happy to help you. 232-5336 is the number. If you think you might have a leak, give them a call and they can definitely help you out. The other thing with some of the high bill conversation that's been happening on social media that we've seen could be due to the rate changes. So with the monthly billing switchover, a lot of customers are compiling their 3 monthly bills that would create their old quarterly bill, and they're not seeing the same kind of number, and that's bringing up some concerns.
Well, it brings up one of the unfortunate realities of our water bills. If you took your utility bill from last year when it was quarterly and divided by 3, you'd expect your bill to be about the same. But each of our utilities over the past year have experienced an increase. So there will be an incremental increase with that as well. So we've taken a look at all the complaints that we've gotten. We are not detecting any problem within our computer system. But we started to theorize, what are the other reasons? And we think it's probably because maybe people didn't recognize that the monthly bill has had an increase, and it's noticeable. And when you're looking at it more often, you do notice that type of thing. So please take a look at those things. You can certainly call our utility billing department. We're happy to help you with it. But we're getting a lot of calls, so please be patient. But look at those things, listen to these kind of hints, and perhaps there's an explanation within that.
And we appreciate the customers being, proactive about this too and paying attention to their bills, because we do want to hear the feedback as well.
Because that overusage and things like that, that's an issue, and you shouldn't have to pay for that. But if you have a leak, we have to charge you for it. So anything we can do to eliminate that for you, it's good for you, it's good for us. Everybody benefits from that.
Perfect. Well, thanks for the overview of that, and that'll do it for our water utility update of the episode here on CMR. Moving down our list, Mark, we want to give a quick update on the 20th and Oregon closure. That intersection has been closed for a few weeks now, I believe. How's it been going? And we've also got a little update on a new temporary four-way stop.
Anytime you have an intersection of that magnitude get closed, it's going to result in some disruptions. But people are resilient and they try to find ways around. And over at just a little bit west of that intersection at 20th and Montana, some folks are using it to get around the Oshkosh Corporation area, get around that intersection. And there was so much traffic there, we have put in a temporary four-way stop on 20th and Montana. That's four-way, which means everybody has to stop. Unfortunately, some people think that because 20th, has always been open all the way to Oregon that I can go through, and if you're not paying attention, there's flags on the signs and everything like that. But even as we were doing this filming, we saw people that kind of doing that
almost
little roll.
Didn't stop.
Almost didn't stop. And it's like, we really want you to stop. It's about safety. We did have an accident there recently, so we're really wanting to let people know, please be aware. Number one, try to avoid the intersection. But if you can't avoid the intersection, please be aware that we have this four-way stop set up at 20th and Montana.
Yes, so just a reminder of that, and just be aware it's a construction area, so cautious driving is always a good thing in that area as well. Moving down, we've got an update on Lakeshore Park. There was a Parks Advisory Board meeting last week, and 3 designs were presented at that meeting for potential Lakeshore Park master plans. Now, what was the reaction to these plans, Mark?
Well, overall very good, but there's a little bit in every plan that everybody loves a little bit of everything. So there's a little something in there for everybody to enjoy, but the Parks Board has asked to kind of consolidate some of the best of all 3 options. So there's not a lot of detail with these screens, but you get an idea that there's an east side of the park and the west side of the park. The west side is closer to I-41, but you can see there's a couple little different options, and based on this input that we got from the Parks Board, staff and our consultants from the Smith Group are looking at the different concepts and how we can meld them together to have a single one to present to the Parks Board, which then they will forward to the Plan Commission and the City Council.
Yes, and the concepts that we just viewed, hard to see on screen, like you said, all of this information is available on the city website. So if you want to see the detailed versions or even watch the meeting and hear the reactions, you can find that all on the city website under Departments, Parks, and Lakeshore Park. But yeah, it's been a process, and we're kind of nearing the end. So at the next meeting, you mentioned they're going to be giving that conceptualized plan.
Yes, on September 9th. The public's welcome to come, and the Parks Board's going to be presented with the preferred concept plan, and they may tweak it, but they're going to be basically trying to do a final recommendation to the Plan Commission. It's required to go to the Plan Commission, so either September or early October it'll go to the Plan Commission. They'll be presented that preferred plan, and then that will go to Council for action sometime in October.
Perfect. And then Riverwalk, of course, always a question. That's a part of this park area, and that's going to be completed this fall, I believe?
We are, the contractor's actively working on it. There's a bridge that has to get ordered that there's a little lead time. That'll probably be done later in the year, but the rest of the Riverwalk itself will be done over in that area immediately in front of Oshkosh Corporation, between Oshkosh Corporation offices and the lake. That's public realm, so people will be able to enjoy the Riverwalk. It's going to look gorgeous.
Very exciting.
Yeah,
can't
it
wait.
is. I can't wait for that to happen this fall.
Exciting time over there for sure. All right, well, that's going to do it for this first half. Now it's that time of the show where viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything they want about things that are happening right here in Oshkosh. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the question mark is this week. All right, question is, how does the arena's bankruptcy impact the city? This has been a hot topic in the news the last couple weeks, Mark.
It sure has. The bankruptcy is a relatively new thing. The foreclosure action from some of the creditors for the arena started it, but then the arena filed bankruptcy. The city's not party to any of those, but obviously we have an interest because the city still owns the land underneath the arena. The idea was for us to transfer that ownership over to the arena owners. We're still contemplating doing that because that's been the plan all along. So we're really going to be awaiting what happens with the bankruptcy court, but that will likely take some time. The city is owed money, but as you saw from some of the articles, we're owed about $18,000. We'll probably have some utility bills that may get tacked onto that a little afterwards, but that's really all that we're owed right now. But there, as you saw from the newspaper accounts, there's a lot more. The public records indicate many people are owed. Unfortunately, that type of stuff happens in the business world all the time. Just because it's publicly owned land, there's a concern, how's the city involved? Well, not much different than anything else. So our involvement's relatively minor. But one of the things that I want to remind people about is that you have to remember what this site looked like.
Right.
And this is the old Buckstaff property that old timers in town will remember this, but this is what it used to look like. Our goal was to get rid of blight in the central city, and we were successful in doing that, and I have no regrets about doing that. The fact that the arena is falling on some hard times, unfortunately that happens, that'll get worked out, but we're so happy to have gotten rid of that, and now we have an arena that's very vibrant. The herd will still be there for this season. I have my season tickets. I plan to be going to all those games just like I have every other year, and that'll continue. You may have heard recently about, for example, the Paper Valley Hotel in Appleton just declared bankruptcy. That hotel remains open. It's still operational. There's a convention center that's active. Those things happen, but we've got a great facility here in town. We're very happy to have had that blight removal and rehabilitation, and I see the arena being here for a very long time, and we'll be able to enjoy it over those years.
Fabulous. Well, thank you for the background on that, and it's always amazing to look back on that old video of Buckstaff, I had to say. I mean, it's just crazy how much that's changed in the last 2 years. So thank you for the recap on that, Mark. If you have a question for Mark and you'd like it to be featured on the question mark segment on City Manager's Report, send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, or post it to our Facebook Oshkosh media page, or you can email it to us and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will go ahead and look at some of the highlights for the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, August 27th. We'll be right back.
Any idea how fast you were going today?
You speed, you lose. Slow it down in Wisconsin, or we'll do it for you. Zero in Wisconsin, a vision we can all live with.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now we're taking a look at the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda, taking a look at some highlights for the meeting coming up on August 27th, 2019. And so, Mark, the first thing that we want to discuss here quickly is a couple of presentations at the start of the meeting. One from the Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation, it's their mid-year report, and then the Greater Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods mid-year report. So tell us a little bit about what's going to be discussed here.
Well, part of our contracts with both of those organizations that get funding from the city is that they will make periodic reports to the council. So GoEDC, the Economic Development Corporation for the city, and Southern Winnebago County will be making a report on some of the activities that they're working on. And they got a lot of neat things going on. They operate a revolving loan fund for us, and we're excited about that. GoHNI, Healthy Neighborhoods, they're talking about how they're engaging neighborhood associations to be more active, some of the improvements that they're putting in with funds that they leverage through us and through other agencies. So I would stay tuned and listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, two really great organizations, and it's always great to hear what they've been up to and what they have planned for the coming rest of the year, too. Moving into the consent agenda, Mark, we've got the approval for agreement with the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh for payment in lieu of room tax. So kind of explain to this, room tax is kind of a buzzword here in Oshkosh, so explain to us what this agreement is.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that the university opens up their residence halls during the summer for various events going on in the city. And while all the other hotels in town pay a room tax, the university doesn't. And there's an argument over whether they should or shouldn't legally, but they recognize that they're effectively in competition with our hotels. And they feel it's appropriate that they charge their guests in lieu of room tax to make up for that. The room tax goes to support the convention center. It goes to support the Convention Visitors Bureau, which also helps promote the community. So they see the value in doing this, and they've been extremely cooperative. It's a great example of what's traditionally known as town-gown relationships, and we have a great relationship with the university, and I think this is just another example of how we work together to solve these issues, and they want to be a part of helping promote Oshkosh, and this is one way for them to do it.
Excellent. It's always great to see the cooperation happening here in the city and a positive thing here on the agenda. So looking forward to that. Right afterwards, we've got the award bid, and this is for West Waukee Avenue, Gallops Merritt's Creek Crossing reconstruction. It's $940,000. So tell us a little bit about why this is such an important reconstruction. Unless you're probably working down at some of the businesses in the south end of town, you may not be aware of this, but the Gallops Merritt's Creek Crossing is just west of Oregon Street, but it is a major facility to carry water underneath Waukee Avenue. It was inspected a couple years ago, found to be considered a dangerous condition, so there was a weight restriction. So a lot of trucks and vehicles that want to serve Oshkosh Corporation, Lakeside Plastics, all the other businesses over there can't use that road. So it's going to cost us nearly $1 million, but this is part of what our stormwater utility pays for, to convey water under that creek, and you can see Gallops Merritt's Creek right there. So it's really just about getting that done, and then the trucks will be able to begin using that road again. Excellent. A good little example of a behind-the-scenes thing that's extremely important. So thanks for the background on that, Mark. Moving down one more item after that, we've got the sanitary manhole rehabilitation and the inflow and infiltration reduction program, otherwise known as I&I. So tell us a little bit about how this works, Mark. This is a program designed to take stormwater, whether it comes from the storm sewer system or leaks into our sanitary sewer system, and take clean water and keep it out of our sanitary sewer system. Our sanitary sewer system treats water that's not so clean. When we have this inflow and infiltration of water, we're effectively cleaning clean water, and that's not necessary, and it causes backups and sometimes floods basements. The idea is to get that reduced. This is our annual program. This year, we're only going to be spending a little under $300,000, but this is some of the things that we've been able to do to keep some of that basement flooding and backup minimized. And so we're very happy with it. We've talked about it before. I like to talk about it because it's how we invest in improvements to prevent flooding. Mm-hmm. Definitely an important one to mention, and it's a very important program, so we're glad that we were able to discuss that on today's episode. Another thing that is important to mention, and that is on the continued consent agenda here, is the approval for the purchase of road salt for 2019 and 2020. It's a high number this year as the salt prices are going up, but we want to talk about why this is so important that we've got this on the agenda here. We have to do it in the summer. We're planning for the fall and the winter, and the price of salt has gone up $4 per ton. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a lot. We go through 1,500 tons a year, so another $4 is, we're paying, another $10,000, $20,000 more for salt. And this past winter was a pretty rough winter. We had a lot of continuous annoying storms. So
My goal every year is to make sure that salt shed is filled at the beginning of the season, because a lot of communities last year, because they didn't do that, they were short of salt midway through the season and then started to have to do things. I don't want to be in a position where if we get hit with a major storm, we don't do that. That means our salt budget's going to go over for 2019. But that's why we have a reserve fund, and that's why we need to do that. So
it's a public safety issue.
It's absolutely a public safety issue, and I will not apologize for our salt budget going over, because in the middle of winter, when you need salt, we don't want to say, well, we could have purchased salt, but we chose not to back in August. August is the time we have to think about winter, and that's what we do here at the city, and hopefully people will understand that we're going to pay a little more this year.
Definitely. Yes, we always mention that when it's on the agenda because it's such an important item. We're glad to get that background. Under new ordinances, Mark, we've got approval of the ordinance permitting appointment of non-voting youth members to city boards and commissions. Now, this is kind of an interesting one, so tell us how this is going to work.
We've had a discussion about how to get more people engaged in boards and commissions, and there was also a discussion about perhaps creating a mayor's youth council. Some other communities had done that, and that would have consisted entirely of youth. The council discussed it and thought maybe a better approach to experiment with is to invite youth members to be alternates on a board or commission as an ex officio member. They can't vote, but they're entitled to the privileges of being at the table, being able to ask questions, and the council thought that that was appropriate. So this is the beginning of that process. Once they approve it, we'll start publicizing it, encouraging young people to get involved.
Yeah, definitely. Great way to get involved and dip your toes in municipal government. So moving down under new resolutions, we've got approval for the land disposition of surplus property to prime space. This is at the northeast corner of Rath Lane and North Keller Street. So tell us a little bit about this parcel and what's going to be shifted around here.
Well, we had to put the extension of Keller to get up to Oshkosh Corporation, and there was a little bump in this road north because of some wetlands, and the area it's in the blue that says subject site there's a lot of wetlands there, so it doesn't have a lot of use, but at the same time, it would be beneficial for property owners to the south to be able to attach that. They could use it for green space, they could use it for setback. Meanwhile, we are also interested in acquiring some right-of-way to widen Keller for future growth as things grow there. We want to be able to, if we want to expand the road, we want to be able to do that. So you see their proposed right-of-way expansion. What we're proposing to do is swap those two pieces of property. Now, even though the proposed right-of-way expansion is a little smaller, the cost of that land, because it's right-of-way, it's very small, and it's developable, that's more expensive than the wetlands that are in this property that we own. So we're proposing to do a swap of that. But first we have to declare it surplus land. Technically this is part of Lakeshore Park, but because it's on the other side of the road, it really doesn't provide a lot of value to us, but it does provide value to the potential developer immediately on the east side of Keller. So we're just proposing a land swap, and we've been talking about this for a couple of years now.
Excellent. Definitely going to benefit the city on that end. And then really quickly, let's go ahead and squeeze this last one in. A professional service agreement under city manager's announcement statements, and this is for the Jackson Street traffic study and safety corridor study.
Some of the residents along Jackson Street felt we needed to do a traffic study. They're concerned about the traffic on Jackson. We also felt that we could take a look at that, as well as land uses on both sides, north and south of Murdoch. So we're getting that process started. And this company is not just doing the traffic study, they're also doing the land use review with another subcontractor. So this is something that it's in our strategic plan, so council has to get it done, and we're going to get started.
I know Jackson Street's always been a spot of concern, especially for the neighborhoods over there, so it's good to see that on the agenda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, we squeezed a lot into this episode of City Manager's Report, so that's going to do it for today. So we'd like to thank you again for joining us today, Mark.
Always a pleasure, Emily.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, August 27th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website, oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on the radio at 101.9 Oshkosh FM. Make sure you like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for replays of meetings and past episodes of some of your favorite programs. And as always, don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us on Twitter, post it to our Facebook page, or email it to us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So with that, we'd like to thank you once again for joining us today on CMR, and we'll see you next time.